This is the Energy Makers Show, featuring the innovators, financiers, and policymakers focused on the global energy demand. Brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And here's your host, Russ Capper.
Hi, I'm Russ Capper, and welcome to another episode of the Energy Makers Show. Today, once again, we visit the SURGE Accelerator and talk with Class 2 companies, along with Sarah Groen, SURGE co-founder. First up, we talk with Tim Duggan, CEO of Skynet Labs, the company providing mobile calculation and communication solutions for oil drilling engineers. Followed by a visit with Alec Manfre, CEO of Bractlet, the company offering systems and programs to help hotels save energy. All of that right after this.
At BKD, we understand the constantly shifting nature of the energy industry. As a national CPA and advisory firm, we serve energy clients from the beginning to the end of the cycle. Our experienced energy advisors serve approximately 300 energy companies in exploration, midstream, downstream, oilfield services, and power production. Plus, we're the largest North American member of the Bractlet Global Alliance, which means we can help you wherever you operate. Contact a BKD advisor or visit us online to learn more.
This is the Energy Makers Show, brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And now, back to the Energy Makers Show with your host, Russ Capper.
Welcome back to the Energy Makers Show, featuring SURGE Accelerator today. And I'm joined once again by Sarah Groen, co-founder of SURGE Accelerator. Sarah, welcome back again.
Thank you.
You bet. Well, who did you bring in today?
Today I brought in Tim Duggan, the CEO of Skynet Labs. Welcome, Tim.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about Skynet Labs and what you're doing?
Okay, so in Skynet Labs, we create calculation and communication software for drilling engineers and drilling contractor firms, also for operators with drilling activity. And so how we deliver that is across mobile and on mobile phones and tablets. So we put calculation and communication ability into the pockets of drilling engineers in the field.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you came up with the idea?
So I came up with this idea coming from a cloud technology development background. I have a company called Mercury Digital, and we create cloud solutions for quite large companies like Siemens. We deliver them a HTML5 mobile product, and I wanted to get away from service and into product. So I grew up with a keen understanding of drilling engineering and extracting oil from the ground. And I met with a friend who's a drilling engineer, and he was telling me about this incredibly expensive and high-pressured situation they had offshore. And it was a $50 million problem they had. And it turns out what they used to solve the problem, and they do this quite frequently, was a pen, paper, and a calculator. So I started thinking about a $50 million problem and a $50 million solution using cloud technology, and something that I'm quite familiar with doing. So that's kind of how we came up with the idea, and here we are, an incredible 12 months later from date of incorporation, and things have been moving fast, but incredibly in an incredibly positive way.
Have you been sharing your idea and the application with actual drilling operators? Sure,
yeah. So we have a focus group of around 30 drilling engineers who have been on since pretty much month number 3 when we released our MVP. And so we had some micro funding, did an MVP, put together a focus group of drillers. So we went outside of our own friends' focus group, So that's been great. But we have one key drilling engineer, Steve Devereaux, and he's like a rock star drilling engineer. He's written books, he's trained drilling engineers for Schlumberger, he's trained the trainers. And we're just really lucky to have him as a key kind of advisor and influencer of the product. And it's important for us to make valid products for valid solutions.
And can you tell that they're embracing it, or are there some that still want to go with the scratch pad and the calculator?
That's a really good question. There is a generation shift within the oil industry, and we, I suppose, are not making products for a certain generation of drilling engineer. I mean, I know a few drilling engineers and they don't even use mobile phones. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's definitely not our key customer.
Right.
But yeah, there's a new generation in place already, and there's also a new generation coming out of school every day that want to use kind of next generation technology. So that's cloud integrated technology. I mean, the cloud has been around in the oil industry for 30 years already, but utilizing that coupled with mobile smart devices that are always connected has not been done to date. And yes, there are some products that you can see and use on your mobile. However, they're not really answering the calculation problem. They're not really answering a time critical problem. We've seen there being a huge market opportunity, and we've just validated that market opportunity with drilling engineers we're engaged with and mentors we're engaged with through the SURGE program. It's a huge value that we're taking from being a part of SURGE, and that's an opportunity that we wouldn't really have been back in Dublin, selling oil and gas software from Dublin. We may as well have an office on the moon.
I'm curious, how did SURGE get on your radar?
SURGE was on my radar, put in front of me by Startup Bootcamp, which is an accelerator, a pan-European accelerator, which kicked off Skynet. So they were our first investor. Well, actually, I was the first investor, and then Startup Bootcamp came in. We did that 3 months last year, and then in October, when we were closing out on our seed round of finance, which is approximately $1 million, and we were gearing up to start making our first premium product, Startup Bootcamp sent me a mail about SURGE. I said, yeah, I'd really love to look at that. And then SURGE contacted me, flew out in January for 3 days, came to the beautiful Red House, pitched a room of incredibly high-level oil and gas people across software. These guys, I've been seeing them in my research documents, but they were right in front of me in the room, and so they gave me a grilling over, and lo and behold, they decided to ask me back to do the program.
All right, and that wraps up our discussion with Tim Duggan, the CEO of Skynet Labs. And this is the Energy Maker Show, heard on the radio and seen right here at TheEnergyMakers.com.
Welcome to this edition of The Power of People, where we explore how to bring out the best in your most valuable asset. I'm Robin Knowles, President and CEO of TDS, the Workforce Performance Experts. Today we're talking with Randy Jensen about work engagement. Thanks for joining us, Randy.
Thanks for having me, Robin.
Randy, some companies find boredom creeping into their workplace, and it affects the productivity. Yet other companies have talked a lot about work engagement. They sound very different from boredom.
I think it's very different, obviously. Boredom comes from being laid back. I think engagement comes from leaning forward into the job.
What exactly is engagement, and how do we engage workers?
I think an engaged worker is a worker that's thinking of we instead of me. Also think of the opposite of burnout. I think burnout, you could say, is a state of exhaustion, low interest, but engagement is a constant state of energy and focus. Engaged workers are high performers. Unfortunately, only about 30% of employees are engaged in their jobs.
How do you get that number up?
I think an organization really has to invest in being a high involvement workplace. They need to review how their organization uses such elements as power and information. For example, the element of power comes from giving power to employees so that they can make their own decisions. And it gives them a certain amount of autonomy, and it communicates a sense of trust. The element of information makes the operations of the organization much more transparent, so that employees see and understand what's going on around them a lot better. They can also see how their performance contributes to the overall success of the organization.
That's really interesting. Are there any other elements to high involvement?
I think another one would be knowledge. I think that's a real critical element to high involvement. So, for example, when a company gives more information to their employees, they're empowering them to make decisions. And they're giving them the right knowledge and skills so that they have the skills, the confidence, and even the competence to make the right decisions.
So what about pay? That's got to be an important element.
Obviously, it's an important element, and a lot of organizations are finding that there's different kinds of incentives. So for example, they have performance contingent pays for individuals, gain sharing, as well as team-based incentives. Well, these, along with other factors, are really helping boost engagement in organizations.
Well, thank you so much, Randy.
You're welcome.
This has been another edition of The the power of people. Join us again next time to learn more about how you can develop excellence in your workforce while getting the best possible ROI from your human capital.
This is the Energy Makers Show, brought to you by NRG, moving clean energy forward. And now, back to the Energy Makers Show with your host, Russ Capper.
Welcome back to the Energy Makers Show. Our topic right now is the SURGE Accelerator, and I'm being joined by Sarah Groen, co-founder of SURGE Accelerator. Sarah, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Russ. Thanks for having us.
You bet. Well, tell me who you brought with you today.
Today, I brought with me Alec Manfre, CEO of Bractlet. One of our Class 2 companies, came all the way to Houston from Georgia.
Wow. Welcome to the Energy Makers Show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
You bet.
Alec, tell us a little bit about Bractlet and what you do.
Yeah, so Bractlet does energy efficiency in hotels. So we allow guests to earn rewards for saving energy. So if you check into a hotel and you keep your power consumption low, then you grow virtual trees in our software. And those virtual trees and translate into rewards like reward points with Hilton Honors or one of the many other reward programs in the hotel space or free drink at the bar. So you're actually able to get credit for saving energy during your hotel stay.
My God, how much energy can one save in a hotel room?
You know, it adds up, really, especially for the hotel. Energy is a big issue for them, and they only make, low margins already. And so the guest stay is usually more wasteful than when they're at home because they're not actually paying for it. So we want to close that feedback loop for the hotel and then also allow the guests to get some credit for, helping the hotel out and reducing their energy bill.
So tell us a little bit about the backstory of Bractlet. You guys are a young team. I know you've done a lot to get to this point, so give us a little background.
Yeah, so it all started when we were in our college dorm room. We were really looking for a way to measure how much electricity we were using. We're kind of eco-conscious guys, but we realized we were leaving our room, leaving lights on, but we had no feedback for how we were actually doing. And that's sort of when we came up with the idea. So we applied to a program called Startup Chile, got in, and we moved down to Santiago, Chile in January right after we graduated. And the three of us, we lived out of a 500 square foot apartment for 7 months and developed the product. We're all product guys, so it was a great time coding and building the product up and talking to customers. And then we got back to Atlanta, then applied to Surge, and here we are today.
Startup Chile to SURGE Accelerator, right?
Exactly.
What was it about SURGE, though, that appealed to you?
So I would have to say the mentors and then meeting with the team really sold us. Houston is ground zero for the energy industry, and to be part of that ecosystem was extremely important for us because we didn't just want to be a company working on the fringes trying to disrupt a large industry that has a lot of history. We wanted to work from the inside out with the guys who are already doing things on a day-to-day basis.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you are in terms of company? You've only been around a year. You guys are a young team, but I know you already have a product and you already are doing a little bit of work out there. So
yeah, of course. So we're currently actually piloting with a dining hall on Georgia Tech's campus. We're monitoring over 200 circuits spanning 7 breakers, and we're looking to help them increase their operational efficiency and then find other ways to save. So it's a little bit different than the hotel sector, but the parallels are there. So we've been working with the Georgia Tech hotel as well, and we're looking for pilots right now and then talk with some hotels around Houston to test the concepts and start getting some guest feedback and getting some metrics on energy efficiency and guest engagement.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing your story with us, Alec.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was great.
You bet. Thanks again, Sarah.
Of course.
All right, and that wraps up our discussion with Alec Manfre of Bractlet. And this is the Energy Maker Show, heard on the radio and seen online at TheEnergyMakers.com.